Ensure the switch produces a spark when pressed. Then he opened the gas canister at home. Seeing one wasn't enough, he opened a second one. After doing all this, he tricked his wife into thinking he left something in the kitchen, so she would help him get it. Unexpectedly, his wife absolutely believed him. Once she left, the man hurriedly ran out of the house. Unbeknownst to her, his wife had already switched on the light. At this moment, she felt a bit curious. But little did she know, the next second there was an explosion. The 2 gas canisters exploded. His wife died on the spot. Although there were hundreds of people on the scene, nobody suspected the man, because from an outsider's perspective, the couple seemed like the perfect match. The man was the breadwinner. The woman was beautiful. They had luxury cars, I mentioned. They also had a pair of children. Truly, they seemed to have a harmonious and happy family. However, nobody expected that. All of this was just a facade. Mr. Tang, although he owned a furniture store, seemed to be thriving. But he secured this position through his father-in-law's connections. Therefore, in the family hierarchy, Mr. Tang was under his wife's control. He has no presence and no say. He must obey his wife on everything. Even the frequency of intimacy is decided by her. We will be intimate on the 9. Let's stick to the plan. Everything was proceeding smoothly within the framework set by his wife. But on this particular day, an unexpected guest suddenly entered Old Tang's world. The shop needs to expand, so Old Tang decided to hire a new employee. Old Tang's eyes lit up upon seeing the newcomer. The newcomer was not only good-looking, but also tall. She was exactly the kind of person he had always dreamed of. Most importantly, Philip Both could secretly admire what had nothing to do. It was a way to escape the frustrations he felt at home. But the next day, the new employee bounced into the office. She embraced him tightly. She was celebrating her first sale. Old Tang quickly placed his hands where they should be, but he lacked the courage for any wrongdoing. After a moment, he quickly pulled away. He thought she was just sharing the joy of her victory. Little did he know, he had done it on purpose. Seeing that Old Tang didn't refuse, the woman secretly locked the shop door after hours. She cornered Old Tang in the store. Then she wildly flirted with him. Old Tang couldn't hold back. He decided to turn from hunter into the prey. From then on, Old Tang felt like he had opened the door to a new world. He was busy working out. While secretly dating a female employee behind his wife's back, he had planned to sleep with his wife on the 9. But he fell asleep instead. His wife, upon seeing him, had no suspicions at all, and actually felt quite relieved that day. The store held a staff party. Everyone came to Old Tang's house. The female employee Jeff was no exception. With a simple move, she captured the attention of all the men. She took off her dress. She revealed her perfect figure. Even hostess Wona was overshadowed by her. Clearly, to keep prepared, watching the 2 women interact so closely, Old Tang, standing aside, broke out in a cold sweat, fearing their relationship would be discovered by his wife. But the more he feared, the more it happened. Jeff, to give in to the answers of others, suddenly approached Old Tang. This was at Old Tang's house. A moment's lapse could lead his wife to find out. Old Tang was so scared that he didn't even have time to hide. However, just as he was about to turn and leave, 10, I'm pregnant. This statement was like a bull from the blue. Old Tang was less stunned after hearing it. There was resolution. He could only ask his good friend, Old Bai, for advice. Old Bai told him, everything can be solved with money. He just needed to offer his secret stash to send her away. But Old Tang only had 6,000 yuan on him. Even with Old Bai's 7,000 at it, they'd only have 13,000. Having no money probably wouldn't do much. The next day, Old Tang braced himself and shared his plan with Zhao Cha. But before he finished, she began to sob and wipe her tears. She stated that she didn't have health insurance. That amount wasn't even enough to cover surgery. After calling him a scumbag, she turned and left the office. In response, Old Tang had no choice but to reach out to his good friend, Old Bai again. He was now facing a dilemma. If he didn't give Zhao Cha enough money, she would tell his wife about this. At this point, Old Tang became in even more trouble. He took a deep swig of his drink, but Old Bai surprisingly woke him up with one sentence. If that's the case, why not just tell your wife directly? Paul and Chloe's path leaves her with no estate. After the 2 had discussed it, Old Tang, resolved to face the worst, found his wife. He began with some roundabout about prevails,
and then confessed that he had done wrong and needed her forgiveness. But when his wife asked what he had done wrong, he hesitated and couldn't say. He finally said kiddingly,
I had an affair with the saleswoman, Chloe. She's pregnant too.
Surprisingly, his wife reacted unusually. She showed no emotional upheaval at all, and remained exceptionally calm. This cannot be left as is. This is all your fault.
Now do something to fix this.
Do something, Tang. Gunshots are heard finished. Finally, his wife made the final decision to eliminate Chloe. Just then, Chloe unexpectedly called out at that time. Seeing this, his wife quickly had Old Tang answer on speakerphone. She wanted to see what this woman was up to. Sure enough, everything went as his wife expected. 30,000 wasn't enough for Chloe's appetite. She raised the amount to 25,000, so she decided to play along. She had Old Tang agree wholeheartedly, waiting for the 2 to meet, poison one another. As night fell, Zhao arrived on time. But before the deal, Old Tang made a request. He wanted them to have a drink before parting. He had actually drugged the drink. As expected, Zhao felt drowsy and passed out after finishing her drink. After that, the couple took Zhao back to their garage. The wife asked Old Tang to get a hammer to kill her while she was unconscious. But the honest husband was frightened when he heard. With no other choice, the wife had to do it herself. Not only did she have no remorse, she was eager to proceed. After killing Zhao with one blow, she placed the body on the chopping board. Then she took off her clothes, put a wrinkle, she picked up a chainsaw and disemboweled Zhao. In the end, she reached a conclusion. The woman was pregnant, husband was deceased. She told Old Tang to bury the body in the backyard, to use as fertilizer for the soil. She said she would personally interview the next employee. The next day, the sheriff came to the store to investigate. He asked if Kasha had come to work, because her car was found burned in the woods. Regarding this, Old Tang successfully used his relationship with the sheriff to evade suspicion. What he didn't expect was that Saikasha was actually part of the gang. Old Tang was their target. After Saikasha's disappearance, the gang members suspected Old Tang. So one afternoon, they delivered a letter to Old Tang's son. Inside was a photo of his wife and a note. It said to me at the bar at 2 o'clock. There was no choice. Old Tang had to grit his teeth and go to the bar. He found Big Beard and his brothers. At first, Old Tang pushed all the blame onto Saikasha, claiming she had fled with the money. However, Big Beard was fooled. He told Old Tang he had to come up with 20-0 to him tomorrow. Otherwise, his whole family would be in danger. Old Tang did not delay to hear this. As soon as he left the bar, he told his wife what had been said, word for word. However, his wife remained very calm after hearing it. Says, there's a problem, let's solve it. If one won't do, then take out two. That night, Old Tang and his wife sneaked to Big Beard's house. To get out of it at his home, the wife hid Saikasha's body in their refrigerator. Old Tang was on the lookout outside, but at that moment, Big Beard's brother, Whitehair, returned drunk. As soon as he entered, he bumped into Mona. Mona was not so hard either. She swiftly retaliated without hesitation. In a few moves, she killed Whitehair. When Big Beard returned, he only saw Whitehair's body. However, before that, Mona used a disposable phone to call the police. She reported that Big Beard killed someone and hid a body before Big Beard could react. The police had raised around the scene. However, Big Beard was smart. He didn't confront the police. Instead, he chose to stay through the underground. The next day, the sheriff found Old Tang. He said that the murderer of Little T was Big Beard. Old Tang excitedly told his wife the good news, but his wife said that if Old Tang made the same mistake again, he would be the one to die. Old Tang was extremely scared after hearing this, because he discovered 3 knives in his wife's bedside drawer. A few days later, Old Tang purposely broke the kitchen light. He also opened the gas tester valve. Then he deliberately tricked his wife into the kitchen to fetch something for him. Unaware, his wife pressed the switch and ignited the gas tester, died instantly on the spot. From that day onward, Old Tang no longer had to live in fear. But on that day, he was targeted by a lucky bearded man as he stepped outside. The gunshot is heard at the end.